2. Testing 1, 2. Testing. Okay, ready? So we've got a pretty big class today. So we have enough. All right, ready? We're going to get started. Okay, feet. We're going to bow in first. Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Salute. So at least if you want to open the window, you already did. Okay, no. All right, ready? First exercise, hands up, turning. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, to the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right, to your left, center, inhale, exhale. Okay, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right, to your left, center, inhale, exhale. Okay, again, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right, left, center, inhale, exhale. Okay, hands on your waist. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and stop. Center, cross, knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Hands on your waist. Neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 and 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, Sana, tilt to the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2, Sana, circular movements, 1, 2, 3, reverse, 1, 2, 3, center, hands up, pull in, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, spread your feet, turning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, we'll stretch it out a little. Switch. Okay, switch. Switch. Switch, straighten the front knee. Switch. 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 Center. Okay, shake it out. Okay, hands up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands in your waist. Circular movements, shoulder roll. Reverse. And center. Okay, press, release, exhale, inhale. And center. Hands up. Pull in. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, wrists. Okay, reverse. And center. Okay, palms down. Big a circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Okay, we're going to shift side to side. We'll lift the knees up. And okay, ready? Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, down. Leg swing right side. Okay, center switch. And center. Okay, side to side. And center. Okay, switch. And center. Okay, deep breathing. Ready? Inhale through the nose. Exhale. Okay. Silk curling. Switch. Okay, open and close. Switch. And sana. Okay. Circular movements. Okay, lower hoop. Shoulder height. Okay, elbows down. Palms down. extend. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, pot poses main. Switch. Okay. Cloud hands. Okay, palms down. Lift up. Carry tiger to the mountain. Infinity sign. Okay, form the fists. Okay, palms together. Strum the lute. And center. Thumbs up. Palms together. Alternate the shoulders. And center. Switch. And center. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, draw the bow. Ready? Turn. Turn. Okay, fan to the back. Okay, raise the hand. Okay, palms down. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, we'll go through the sequence. Want the window open, Maria? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so go through the form. Okay, ready? Feet parallel. Preparation. Beginning style, left and right side. Step up, grasp the sparrow's tail. Single whip. Hold the ball. Shift diagonal flying. Step up and raise the hand. Bend from the waist. Stalk flaps wings. Toe heel pivot. Brush knee 4 times. Left side brush knee, push. Back to the right side. Strum the lute. Close the door. Step up and form your fists. Divert, block, and punch. Cross your arms, left to the outside, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Neutral position. Turn to your right, lower the arms, fist under elbow. Repulse the monkey 3 times. Straighten the rear foot. Neutral position right. Hold the ball, step up, diagonal flying. Sit back. Insert the needle. Step up. Turn. Straighten the feet. Fan through the back. Turn. Parry and punch. Step up, form the fist, and punch. Divert, block, and punch. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Carry tiger to the mountain. Pivot, square the feet. Line them up, cross the arms, left to the outside, bend from the waist. Stalk flaps wings. Turn, toe heel pivot. Left side grasp the sparrow's tail. Left side single whip. Open your stance, single whip, hold the ball, flip it over, diagonal flying. Sit back, stroke down, part the horse's mane. Step up, neutral position, stroke down, part the horse's mane. Cross corner, forward, sit back, Jade Lady work shuttle, cross over, go to your right side, Jade Lady work shuttle, drop your elbow, hook your wrist, pivot back to the front, single whip, open. Okay, we're going to drop the hands for cloud hands, 4 hand movements. That's 2, 3, and 4. Hook your wrists, single whip, hold the ball, reversing the ball, diagonal flying right side, turn to the side, elbows out to the side. 1, cross the elbows, and down. Okay, deep breathing, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, good. Is there any section you want to review or work on? Anyone? Lisa? No? Peter? Mara? Uh-huh. Yeah, so maybe it's the okay. So on both sides, because we have a on this side. Okay, so we're on the left side single whip. We go like this: 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna pivot like this. So I have to bring this heel forward, and then bring this. So it's like this hand is pulling that foot around, right? And then you can do the diagonal flying, and you go into the left side grasp the sparrow's tail or the part the horse's mane. Depends, at the end of the form we have the same reversal. So reversing the ball, we're in a single whip position and we bring this hand in. That's the setting up to hold the ball. Reversing is this. And it depends on, the reason why we reverse it is because the lower hand becomes the upper hand on the opposite side. It's the opposite side, so it's this side. See, so when we're here, this is, say, the end of the form, we end up on the right side. Okay, so there's a right side movement. When we're here, and we want to reverse it, then we have to move this side because we're like this. 1, 2. See? So integration of the body is really when your hands and feet are coordinated, and the coordination of the hands and feet builds the relationship in the body, and it also builds balance and motion. So because you always have to have some, sort of cross-referencing of the body, when the hands go. Like when we walk, this is the simplest thing. When we walk, this is the best analogy of that relationship, because when you walk, you should be on the opposite side. Not, you're not walking like this. So you can see the difference. So when you start to integrate your hands with your legs, then your torso gets involved. It can't not get involved simply because without it, it's still kind of isolated. So the cross-reference is when it crosses the body, sort of, right? So when my hands go like this, my hands actually crossing the body, you see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we try to do when we do form is simulate a motion that represents sort of the functionality of that motion or the task at hand. So when we say use your strength and use your will and not strength, that's me using the mind to direct the movement. And then the only reason why we move or anything moves in the body is to do, it has a purpose, it's for functionality. And depending on, what you plan to do as a function is what you try to learn and perfect. Any type of movement is done like that, or at least has that purpose. Now, we don't have purpose in movement, then we just sit here and we just flail our arms. It has no rhyme or reason. There's no pattern, there's no sequence, there's nothing involved other than you move to create some type of circulation, right? That if we didn't do anything at all, just totally, not just dysfunctional, but didn't know how to do anything, we would still move. But we would just kind of move like this because that's to stimulate circulation. But because we have an intelligence, we try to learn things and do things and become productive. So being productive is one of the main things, throughout life you're always doing something, right? Regardless of what you think is important or not, you're going to do it anyways, right? Now some people do it all their life until they're ready to retire. Or you're like me, I have to do this for the rest of my life, and then when it ends, it ends. Only because, that's what I do as a job. At least there's a bit of job security maybe. But if I lose my ability to move, then I'm actually unable to do this too. So the reason why we move is it brings circulation to the body and so forth. So we build patterns. When we're like this, and we reverse, and we sink, and we turn, that's what's happening. So what we're doing is creating a hold the ball position. We understand that there's that. So you can see that the whole body is integrated. So while I'm going in this direction, if I reverse it, that's this side. If I do this, there's that relationship that's happening. And that relationship, in the beginning, you have to be conscious of what you're trying to do. So what do you have to learn in pieces? We know hold the ball. We know we flip it over to make the opposite circle. Then we learn to pivot our feet. Right? We learn to pivot our feet. There's a toe, there's a heel, there's a toe, there's a heel. So we learn to pivot our feet, and you have that on the other side, right? And then you learn to turn your torso. You learn your torso just by this, right? We swing our arms. Then we learn to lift. And then we learn to press, right? And then we learn to follow the hands with our eyes. And then we know the posture, then we learn to turn and reset. Then we learn to go 1, 2. So when you go like this, it's 1, 2. Then you build that relationship based on what the next movement is. But because we know that from hold the ball, we go to diagonal flying typically. So when we go to diagonal flying, this foot goes 90, and then the body leans in that direction. So while we're building the body mechanics, we have to understand one more principle: the balance and motion of yin and yang. The substantial and insubstantial in the weight, the substantial and insubstantial in the arms, and the passive active movement. So active is driven. That's your dominant hand, sort of. The passive action is moving as a function of something else. So a function of something else is the body. So there's a response. When you lift and press down, or you lift and drop, there's a response in the body whether you know it or not. But you have to be sensitive enough to detect the action. So what are you detecting? Well, if the body's fairly rigid like a wall, you can hang things off of that and the wall doesn't seem to be affected until you put something on that wall that sticks out that's so heavy that it makes the wall bend or collapse, right? Because there's a response. But that's something that's designed so that, you try to not put something too heavy on the wall that's going to pull the wall down. Well, if this is the wall and we lift our arms up, how much weight can you put on your arm before your body starts to fail? Right? When's it fail? When the musculature isn't strong enough to maintain the body vertical position. Okay, so that's extreme. When you lift up and just drop your hands and your hands are very light, that's the other extreme. Your body doesn't, you have to even respond because it's so light. Because you're going to be standing there and it's going to give you enough tension in the body to maintain that. But our goal is actually to be sensitive enough to realize that when we drop and we lift, that the body responds. So that response becomes more of a passive action. So if movement is creating circulation, then how much strength do you need to do that, right? So you try to use the least amount of strength, less effort, because it's going to create the same circulation, the systemic circulation, without circulating to compensate for the excessive strength you're using to produce the energy to create that movement. So to conserve energy, you use less. To conserve energy, and using less means you use less of your strength. So you create movement that becomes gentle and soft, stimulating circulation. That's really your end goal, is to supply to your cells and the nutrients and the oxygen and so forth. So I talk a lot about circulation because Tai Chi is about circulation. Circulation is about your circulatory system. To get your fluids moving, your blood, your lymph, and any other thing that flows through your body that's on that fluid state. The interstitial fluids move throughout the body for a reason. It creates a balance in that, and it brings nutrients, it circulates your immune system, it circulates everything, and it rebuilds, and it gets rid of stuff. It takes out waste and brings in stuff that's good, but it's all tied together to inhalation, oxygen exchange, and nutrients, right, what you eat. So if you eat the wrong stuff, or you might be eating a lot of stuff, but it might be the wrong stuff that's your body's deficient. It needs more things that you're eating. That's why you have to have this balanced diet, and you have to have, the right vitamins and all this stuff. They say in the COVID now, you have to have enough vitamin D and zinc. That's one of the things that helps. I don't know exactly how it works, but but we've known that anyways, because you take zinc for colds, and you take vitamin D. Vitamin D's from the sun. So you have to get enough sunlight, but in the wintertime you don't get the same. And actually a vitamin D for you, it has to be at the right angle of the sun. It has to be at the right, otherwise you can't absorb it right. So you take supplements. That's what you're supposed to do. Not everybody does that. And then you get the rest, if you have enough from food, which people most generally don't get the right balance in their food because they don't cook enough or go through that. So that's kind of what it is. So let's go through any other question? That kind of got long. Okay, no, so there is a rule. The fact that you're here, right? So the dominant and the passive hand have roles, and they cycle. So everything's a cycle. It's a circle. So the dominant hand would be this. The passive hand would be this, because this is here, and then passive means relax the shoulder and let it go, because you're sinking. When this goes across, that becomes active, and then it becomes the passive. See? So active and passive is constantly like flip-flopping, reversing. It's not active. That becomes double-weighted. So if I start to move my body, then that becomes passive. Then the body becomes active. Okay. If I lift from the legs, that's active, and it's passive. So the roles of your movement are constantly, exchanging the roles. So that's really a cycle, just like the yin and yang, right? So you have to discover through your movement that, everyone's going to discover it differently because everyone's body's moving differently. If you're not turning your shoulder, your arm's going to always be kind of physical. If you don't connect the two sides, it's always going to be isolated. See, so that's the big challenge. Why everyone evolves differently is because we're wired differently and because we perceive things to be different. And parts of our body are not moving, the way it could. Now, I won't say the way it should because that's really sort of a theory. The way it could is really, what are you able to do? Because not everybody's able to do it, right? So you do the best you can, and you just understand that if I'm turning my torso, then this hand becomes part of the integration of that. So that becomes somewhat passive. So this becomes an action. This becomes a passive, and it's not inaction. What you maintain is still a sustaining of a certain amount of energy in there. They call it pung energy. But you might call it tonus. Right? Tonus is the amount of tension your body needs to sustain a position, just like standing up. Your body doesn't go to zero. When it goes to zero, you passed out. That means your body has no longer any control of your musculature, right? Because it just severed the connections and you go down. So when we're working with our bodies, we're really dealing with the control of that mechanism of how much to use and how little to use and how we use it. Everything is how you could get a drill and not do a good job with it because you're using it wrong, right? You don't have the right intensity. You don't have the right grip on it, or you don't have, it changes depending on every individual. And then the better you get with it, it's the experience and the feeling of what that's like. So in Tai Chi, that's the same thing. We have to feel our movements and experience it in the body. So it gets pretty deep in the sense, that. So the roles change again. So if I'm like this, if you watch this, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, somewhat dominant, and then passive.
So your left hand is passive now?
Yeah. Well, passive in the sense that it was here, and then it became passive. Just like cloud hands. This is cloud hands by arms. This is one side, this is the other side. Isolated and separate. Combined, but yet physical. Passive, active, passive. I created this line by turning. It's like taking a piece of chalk. I make a straight line, horizontal line. Zip. That's a physical movement. I move from the shoulder, I draw a line. If I went like this, I didn't move my arm, but I had to hold this position. I move my feet. So it depends on what drives the movement. So in Tai Chi, we drive the movements from the legs. It's manifested into the fingertips through the body as it travels up the arms and legs. So they would that's a cycle. So that cycle is like energy traveling through your body. Because what happens with energy is it travels, it needs a conduit. So your body becomes a conduit. Like you turn a switch on, other than the wireless stuff, but they're still going through some kind of a thing, that it goes from there to there when you flip the switch through a conduit, the wire. The wire is the conduit. And the electrons flow through there to create the energy for that, right? So your body does the same thing through your circulation of blood and energy to your body. That's how we stay functional and alive, because of that. And those chemicals that we eat, it's food, is broken down to create the electrical chemical in the body. So we have a electrical plant, we have all kinds of systems in the body to do all of this stuff. So that's why we need, the potassium and the salts and all that stuff, because that's where those electrons come from. That's it. It's almost as simple as that. I don't know if anything I'm telling you is the truth. I mean, correct. But I'm just telling. But you're the doctor, so is it close? But it's pretty amazing if you think along that line, right? Because most people don't think like that. In fact, most Tai Chi people don't think about like this, or Tai Chi teachers, because they're thinking about a space. You'll get there sooner or later, but why don't we just work on Earth at this point? So that's what the Earth is grounding. So you want to settle into the ground for stability. That's why we work our stances. That's called rooting. Rooting is to attach to the ground. In fact, there's some disciplines that all they do is think about rooting. They go barefoot, they go and they practice standing and, trying to feel the ground and absorb the energies through the soles of the feet. That's a little extreme for me, but so, Anyways, so let's go through the hand movements and the kicks, and then we're going to do so if you want to get a mirror in front of you, that like this mirror, yeah. You need a mirror over here. You can move in a little bit if you want. Just, I don't know if the wind's going to blow this away like this. You can stand so you can see yourself. Sometimes the wind is heavy. You might see the mirror coming at you, but that's not because your magnetic energy is drawing it. Yeah. Okay, so we're here. All right. So this is reversing the ball. So you see that reversing of the ball is like steering, right? Like a steering wheel. Now, if I turn my body and I go like this, that's like reversing the ball too. Oh, it is reversing the ball. But what you changed was the plane of movement, and you generated a new motion. Because the body became part of the action driven by the rotation of your spine and the lower lumbar, that twist. And right behind your sternum in the back, there's an area that moves too. So when you turn your back, what you did was just change the direction of movement based on the plane of motion. So that's why we turn our shoulders and we turn our waist. Now you only can turn the torso 45 degrees, that's the limit. Then you have to integrate the hip if you want to make a bigger turn. And sometimes we have to do that if we want to create a larger movement. Right? So when we're here and we reverse the ball, if you're moving the body a little bit, then you're going to create some kind of a blend of passive active motion. And then when we cross the forearms, we're sinking and folding. We step out, we lean forward by shifting the weight, and then we open the arms. We sit back, we toe out, we shift the weight, and we go to this position and change the hands to this. Bring this hand down, fold the elbows, lift the elbows, lift the knee, and then kick, and then down. Then this hand goes to lower hoop, this hand resets the center, and this is the second time you open, flip the hands, toe out, step up, relax the shoulders, fold the elbows, lift the elbows, lift the knee, and we kick. Then bring it down. Now if we were to cross behind, we would turn. So to turn, you would go back to this neutral position, pivot this foot, and you would be in the opposite stance. Your left foot would be forward, and you would do the heel kick. Okay, so let's get back to the mirror side. So we just kind of superimpose that position. This is the left side. Our hands would have been here. So the right hand just goes on top, and you fold the elbows, you lift your knee, you turn your body and heel kick, you go back to neutral, and then you're going to do your your two brush knees. So what's important to understand is that when your hand is kicking, when your leg is kicking, your hand is on the outside. So if I'm doing a left kick, my left hand is on the outside. I'm doing a right kick, my right hand is on the outside. So in this case, the first kick is on the right side. Then we go through the hand movements and we flip it over. Now when the hand is underneath and you fold it, it ends up on the outside. So these are just references that you can understand that this is your left kick, and when it crosses behind, you leave this hand here, and when you turn, we're going to end up like this, right? And this hand just drops on top. You fold your elbows, and we're outside here. That's the left heel kick. Okay? Then we go through the brush knee, and we have the planting punch. So we have the brush knee. So we go 1, 2. So this is standard procedure for brush knee. That's why when you do the Tai Chi Paradigm, the more you recognize the movements. And now this is the third one, which is a brush knee and planting punch. Okay? And then we would turn, and we would end up in the parry punch position. So we would end up here. Now if we step up one more time, we're going to be in the fourth movement, the fourth kick. Well, it's not really a kick, it's called beat the tiger. So we're going to use the same hand movement as the first time. Step forward, fold the elbows, and then open, cross, toe out, fold the elbows. Now we're looking to the corner, so we lift the knee, and then when we open the hands, we're going to pan the leg out and go behind. Then we set the hands up to step behind, like go into single whip. We lift the hand and turn. Then we drop the elbow first and then turn to the back corner. Sort of a Jade Lady work shuttle, but it's really beat the tiger. Now turn back to the front, sit back, pivot on the heel, all the way around, more, yeah. Then once we're here, we grip. This is beat the tiger. This is, now you look at this position, right? It's, okay, so hold that position for a second. If I step back and turn to the front, and I bring the other hand here, you can see the framework of this arm was really the upper hoop. But when we're set up in a stance like this, and we bring this hand across to here, you see that this is beat the tiger. This is just the neutral position when we're in front of the shoulder, so we cross. So that's beat the tiger. Now first we have to sink. Lower the hoop. Cross the hands. Right. So, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is going to go like this. And we lift the knee and heel kick right, 2 punches to the ear. Okay. So if you learn those hand movements, then you'll have the first 2 kicks, the heel kick, and then you'll have the fourth movement, which is beat the tiger, and it's the same hand movements as the first kick. But that's how you have to break it down to see what that manipulation of skeletal structure is. Because your basic foundation movement, this one, this time, so we flip twice on the first one, right? So we're here, 1, 2, 3, and here's your second flip. We end up here and we do the kick. Then we're down here. This time we just go on top, and we're only going to flip once. And you fold your elbows and you kick. And then when you make your turn, we're going to end up here, and we step forward. Oh, we just end up here and just fold. So no flipping the heel kick. So it's just think of it as 2, 1, 0. Yeah. Lift the elbow, you mean? Yeah. Why to lift elbow? Because if you don't lift your arms, just like fan through the back, right? If you're doing fan through the back and you go like this, it's going to be here. The elbow dictates the size and direction of your movement. So if I'm here, if I want to go higher, I have to lift my hands up. So when I'm here, when I lift my elbows, it allows me to do this. But at the same time, when you lift your elbows and you go a little bit higher than the hands, then you can relax your shoulder. You see, if you only lift to here and you go out, then you're going to have some tension there because you don't develop enough dimensional change in the movement, so that you stay a little bit one-dimensional. But if you want a multi-dimensional movement, your hand has to fold, it has to lift, and then you could do this. Now, because my elbows were up, then when I go like this, my shoulders will relax. Because something brings your elbows up. Your shoulders go up, and then they go down. It created another dimension of movement. Because the movements in your body has to be full, so you have to have volume. Volume's created by dimensional change and space. So you need to move enough to create the downward. So the shoulders relax. When we say relax the shoulders, sink the elbow, that's all tied together. It's a principle. You do that on the third kick. You're here, so you can actually do that too. So you know the exercise that we do this like this. You actually will lift and drop and lift and drop, right? So that's the same action. So in the warm-ups, if you're doing that, so it allows your body to loosen up, because the biggest conflict in motion is tension. So if you don't move, if you're only like this, then it's going to be, lacking in dimension, and you're not moving your joints. If you're moving your joints, then your whole body should be part of that unit. But it's hard for people that haven't been doing it long enough to experience that. And then, so you have to evolve. You have to pick it up as you're going along. So we learn visually a lot of things, but if you're not seeing it, or you don't see enough of it, or you're not discovering, then you can't really see the dimensional changes.
So when we do this exercise, getting your elbows up
Yeah,
is important.
yeah. Just like if you're going to draw a fan through the back, you have to get your elbows up. But it's not just a random lifting. It's setting up for the next motion. So if you want horizontal movements, you have to get your hands to the horizontal position. Then your elbow dictates the line. But if you're going to create a curve, then you have to create the circular action, because the circle is created by this. So between this and this, it becomes a blend, right? So when you're blending the action, it becomes fuller. Like this, infinity sign. If I don't sink my elbow and do this, you don't have the two pedals. If you just go like this, it's flat. But it's not really flat, because my elbows had this, they're stuck here, because my shoulders aren't moving. But if I move my shoulders, then it creates the two pedals, because you added vertical, right? This has no vertical dimension. This has vertical dimension. Because it's going down, it has to go up. If it goes up, it has to go down. Right? What goes up must come down. Right? These sayings are, they're universal. We know it, but we don't apply it to the movement. So that's how, when we do something like this, it's very, it takes a bit of mindfulness and understanding. So as you evolve, it's not just a physical exercise. Tai Chi is really a mind-body exercise that uses, the physical movement to build intelligence. It's the body intelligence. I call it the physical side of learning. Huh. Yeah.
I know that when you do these proofs or anything, you have to go slow enough to be able to fit in all those different
Nuances. Yeah, yeah.
So we go a little slower, so it helps me make sure I'm,
Yeah, yeah.
not skipping something.
Yeah, yeah. You mean the Do you mean the form itself or these movements?
Any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you break down the form, like when we go to the form, it's not going at a snail's pace. That's not what Tai Chi is. It's traveling distance, right? So if you're moving more of your body, it's going to slow it down. So if I do brush knee and I'm just going 1, it's going to go fast. But if you sit here and you turn and you separate the hands and then you turn your body, every piece of your body created a line of movement, a direction of movement. That's distance. So if I have this distance, I have this distance and this distance and this distance, and my legs going back and forward and body's turning. If you summate those components as distance, it's going to be a longer distance. Longer distance takes longer time at the same speed. So to slow the form down is really improving your transitions. So when we do the form in the block form, like when we start off, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. That took a long time to get there. It's because of the transition, not because we slowed it down. I did everything the same speed. Now if I'm missing something and I went like this, I'm already there. The first one it took a lot longer because I went through the process of substantial and insubstantial. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So I added more dimensions. What were the dimensions? Sinking, shifting, adjusting, moving 1. The torso, the hand. When I make my next 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would take us an hour to get through the first form. So that's what actually happens. It's like building a robot. The very first part, yeah, okay, so when we start off, first thing is we turn the hands like this. Lift, and they float up. Once it gets to a point, like it's about to stop, you sink your elbow. Now once you sink your elbow, your knees go down. And then your hands continue to gradually find the vertical line. Now you can lift your body a little bit without straightening up the knees. Lift. Then you're going to shift. Now you see my hands are starting to move. That's the relationship we're talking about. And then we're forward. Now we go back. We kick the heel up, but it turns. But I adjusted my roundness here to sink to here. So now I have a full circle there. And then I drop my elbow. And then otherwise you would be too close, right? Then you're here. So you have to fill that up. You drop your elbow, then you start to, there's your passive movement. And then you shift, and then we turn. When the hand goes in, the leg goes in. The hand goes out, the leg goes out. And then we turn, we sink the elbow. We go to a horizontal position. We continue with the elbow till we find vertical. Draw down. Set up your horizontal fingertip, and then you push out like this. You sink your elbow. Then we're going to turn back to the front. We shift the weight. We check the weight. We toe down. Then the heel goes down. Then we open the foot. And then our body is still here. And that's where the transition. Now I turn to the corner. Now you notice the shoulders in front of this shoulder. And I turn. And then I reset. So that's what I call the manipulation of skeletal structure, because while we're moving into positions, we'd have to release the tension in the joints to create the posture over time. So that's the passive action. So you're using strength without using strength. You know, my teacher used to say, when you practice, don't use strength. But he didn't tell you how not to use strength. He just said, don't use strength. So then you have to go through the whole process of the deciphering, because he would never tell you how not to use strength. He just gives you the principles. Because learning that way, you actually learn it better. But you have to have enough time. It takes a long time for that to happen. So I tell you how to do it by showing you. And then you have to go through the process of deciphering it and figuring it out, because that all happens up here. And the reason why a lot of people have a little trouble in the beginning, or always will have trouble evolving with it, because your body is not wired and programmed to do those subtle things, those nuances. Because it's not wired, you have to build that network of wiring. That's what brain plasticity is. That's what building synapses, all the wiring that you need for that. Those, they call them dendrites or axioms. You constantly build these little fibers. It's like networks that they build outside. You need more and more of them as more and more people use all these devices. And then they want it to go fast and all this stuff, but it gets bogged down because there's too much of it. In the human body, we're doing the same thing. If you go to those shows where they show the human body when it's, I went to one of those, and when you open it up, you show these diagrams. It looks just like a telephone system. That's how many. There's trillions of these little wires that go through your body. We just take it for granted that it's all there and it's supposed to be working, but most of it doesn't work because it's not programmed, and because it's not programmed to do what we want it to do. You don't have the ability to do it, and it's not because of anything. It's just from never being exposed to it and never actually having the opportunity to do it.
That's the reason I started doing Tai Chi, because I felt like I wasn't, I couldn't tap my head and rub my stomach.
Yeah.
And it really helped me in that regard.
So you can pat your head and rub your stomach now? Yeah, there's a couple of things that I teach, and I do an outside program that's one of them is rubbing your stomach and patting your head. So everyone can try that. That's because the reason why is because we're designed to do things in pairs. Hands like to do this together, only because the brain is kind of formatted like that. But you have the capacity to split that and learn different things on different sides. That's called multitasking. So the thing I like to test people on, because we all know we have ears and we have a nose, right? We all know that. And I always use the nose as a symbol. So if you hold your nose and you grab this ear, right? Then you slap your hand and you switch. Can you find your nose in your ear? So you can just try that, ready? So you get your nose, grab your ear with your left. Now you clap your hand and go to the other side and find it. Go clap your hand and go to the other side. And then the faster you do it. So what is that? That's proprioception. It's actually muscle memory. Because my hands are doing this and I'm doing this all the time. My hands actually I can direct it because I said, okay, do this. And it just goes like that. So that's the kind of things that you programmed to do. I showed you the little thing that I did with the fingertips, right? You can go like this. You go your palm, your thumb, your two fingers, and then these two fingers, and you go. So that's programmed into your system too. I learned that when I was probably 8 years old. But at my age, I can still do it because I learned it, and I did it 100,000 times when I was a kid. So it just stays with you. Why would, at this age, would I want to do this? It's because I did it. And and there's no purpose to it either. I should have done things that were useful. Okay, Wu Bao. We didn't get to the long form. You got to hear a lecture. Okay, but it's good information because I think the more you understand, the more you